One person's trash is another person's party dress.
You can be an environmental activist and you can celebrate that, and it doesn't have to always be this miserable, dark conversation.
Someone who was like, fast fashion, why not? It's not a big deal. And then you're like, oh, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. That's a huge deal.
Mm-hmm. We do have this power to influence people and change their perspectives to do better and think about what they're consuming.
Well, we're recording this on Tuesday, April 15th, and we thought spring was about to come, but it's snowing outside. And sitting beside me is a young lady who's just returned back from the Greens of Ireland, and
Yes.
You're adorned with money. You've got money all over your
Money all
fingers
over
and
me.
your neck. What are you doing here?
Rings on my fingers, bells on my toes. I am here to discuss environmental stuff, green stuff, clothing stuff.
That's right, because this episode will air around Earth Day, which is April 20-something at the end of the month. We'll find out
22nd.
22nd.
22nd is Earth Day.
Is
So-
officially.
official Earth
Yeah.
Day.
What were you doing in Ireland?
I was working with an upcycling designer and learning the trade to like franchise the business here in Canada.
And upcycling. Tell me what upcycling is.
Her business or her full cycle business is that she takes materials from the hotel industry, which would be like towels or sheets or duvets, and makes them into clothing. So shorts or beach robes, shirt dresses. It's amazing. It's 100% cotton, most of the stuff, because they're coming from that industry, and she makes designs from it.
I don't even think I mentioned your name, did I?
I'm Joni.
Joni Chapple.
Joni
yeah.
Chapple.
And you and I are kind of looking alike today. We're both
Yes.
wearing something
We're
that.
wearing one of my favorite upcyclers, Claire Scott, who's beside me.
And
so are you. You can't see it on the table, but you're the snake.
It's down there. We're both wearing snakes. So this thing in Ireland, I remember this song called "Dirty Laundry." Who sang that song, "Dirty Laundry"?
know.
I'm just
Don't ask
thinking
me
of
those questions.
towels
I don't know.
from hotels and stuff like that. I
That's
assume they're.
terrible.
I assume
It's
they're
all clean. It's all cleaned, okay? Pre-cleaned, bleached, all of it.
Yeah, so you were applying your fashion background to environmental causes.
Yeah, I think there's something I'm really passionate about, have been actually, and that's a nice segue into parts of what we're going to talk about, Trashion Week, is that it got me back into thinking about fashion. I went to, what is it
It's
called?
formerly called
Okay.
Ryerson. It's the university formerly called Ryerson.
Yes.
It's now called Toronto Metropolitan
Yes.
University.
So I went for fashion.
I
so
went there
it's-
too, yeah.
You went there too?
I did there,
when
yeah.
it was called something else. I went for fashion, and I was there so it was a university degree, and
Yeah.
it's a passion that I've done for a long time. And but then I got out of it. I went into yoga, and I kind of just went into a different direction. And it wasn't until kind of Trashion Week, which would have been 2018, that I got back creatively to think about clothes and fashion again.
Right, and we've got two wonderful guests today. We've got Claire Scott, artist, and Jessika Guy, who is the...
Hey.
Now, Jessika, you actually came up with the concept for Trashion Week, right?
I did.
So how long ago was that, and what was the thinking behind it?
So the planning would have started in 2017. I think because I've always been a bit of an environmentalist at heart. I've had a salon in Stratford for many years that focuses on eco-beauty, and incorporating eco-fashion into that just kind of made sense. It was kind of a nice way to sort of create an event around eco-beauty, and the idea of showing that it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. You can be an environmental activist and you can celebrate that, and it doesn't have to always be this miserable, dark conversation. It can be beautiful and bright and fun and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 7 years ago. Yeah.
Well, I'm not
2018.
very good at
Yeah,
math, but yeah.
Yeah, 7 years.
So this year will be Did you stop during the pandemic?
Yes, we had to
Right.
stop. We were in full swing planning for 2020, and then everything got the axe. And then we finally managed to kind of regroup ourselves and did a show in 2023 that was just kind of, we've, had a lot of time to reflect and regroup on what people really like about the week. And there's 2 events specifically that really draw people out and people really get excited about. So we just did those 2 events, or those 2 runway shows on one day. This year we're just kind of expanding on those specific 2 events, the Trashion show and the Refashion show, but we're kind of mashing them together, incorporating some pre-loved and vintage, and then some spotlight designers that are creating their lives and their business on creating an eco-fashion brand.
Yeah. And that week is, tell me when those events take place. They're at Factory 163 here in Stratford.
Factory 163, April 25th and 26th.
Terrific. And speaking of designers and creators, people see this shirt and who are you wearing? And I say, well, I'm wearing Claire Scott. So I actually saw this at a vintage sale. I said, hey, that's speaking to me. So thank you. It's taking me out of my comfort zone because I haven't worn a snake before.
No, I remember when you put it on and we were like, yeah, you need that. It like fit perfectly and yeah.
So you're an artist. When you grew up in Stratford, but when you left Stratford, I don't imagine, like a lot of people, like when I left Stratford, I never was going to come back. But you came, what did you go away for and why did you come back?
Yeah, so I left right out of high school, went to university at 18 and did 4 years in Toronto and then moved to Vancouver and just kind of worked and wanted other experience in a different place. And then I ended up traveling all over Asia for 4 months. And so I was kind of gone from Stratford for about 5 years. And then after traveling, I was like, I have university debt. And I really had this huge urge and passion to make art after all my experiences and coming out of school. So I was like, okay, I'm going to come home for the summer and crush a summer in Stratford in the service industry. And I really had no plan. I did not plan on staying, but I did plan on getting all my debt paid off and just making a body of work. And so I just had that goal all summer. So I ended up making a body of work. I was really excited to showcase that work. I was just kind of mentioning to people that I wanted to showcase this body of work. Somehow or another, opportunities led me to opening up a pop-up space. And 7-8 years later, I'm still here doing art in the community and
we're so happy that
making a living as a full-time artist, which is really fabulous.
But you didn't go to school thinking you'd become a full-time artist.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
What were you studying at university?
I went in for visual art, so
Okay.
a more focus on drawing and painting. And I was already a self-taught artist, and through that experience, I would still say that I was self-taught. But university provided me with the experience to collaborate with people, which really ended up being a big part of my work and my profession now is collaboration of the arts.
And your travels gave you inspiration and new ideas on how to expand your repertoire, I suppose.
Yes, and I started my first business at 18, which was a play on fashion, I guess. Like, it was a fashion business. It was putting my artwork on clothing in a fast fashion category. So it wasn't any, and I did not have any sort of identity with fashion, even when I ran this clothing brand that was like very successful for 6 years. Got on, Degrassi, and people wore it all over Toronto, and we used to have these big parties in school and everything like that. I never was like really taking on that identity that I was in the fashion world. It was more like I'm putting my art on clothing. And then made a huge transition and segue into eco-fashion through the process of learning about the environment and the detriments of the fast fashion industry. So completely stopped that whole business, took a huge break from creating anything of fashion, and learned a lot of new skills like screen printing, sewing, stuff like that then transitioned into this new business, Claire Upcycled, And it hasn't even been, I feel like, in the last until the last year that I really now feel an identity in the fashion world, and that coinciding with being an artist, because that again was just kind of a hobby, and now I feel like it's a whole different art venture that I feel very pulled to do.
You feel like, in my view, because I see you and I know you very well, but like as an activist, that just comes to you. Not that you started that. It's not like that you went into it to become one of those. It's just that automatically you are, and you really do live what you say. Like you do your life the way that your brand is. Tell us, if you can go into about like that activism part and how we market that part. Like there is a marketing to activism, not to make it belittle it in any way, but and the same with Jess, and I'll go to Jess and ask the same question, but how is that part of your business? And I again, like when I started Claire Upcycled, I had no means to like bring this to new levels. It was more for me as an artist, I've always been multidisciplinary artist that is doing murals, illustration, digital work, video work. And the clothing for me was just about putting, again, my art out into the world, out into the streets, and just getting that other level, I guess, of eyes on the work. It's like a different canvas.
Yeah, like a different, totally. So when I started, I wasn't really like, oh, I'm gonna do like really big things with this. It was just like, this is for fun, and this is just another outlet. But as I started creating, and like really obviously inspired by the work that Jess was doing at Trashion Week as well, because
you guys,
yeah.
It was a big deal,
it was,
for sure.
And I was just kind of starting out to upcycle at that time that Trashion Week was launching, so just seeing other people create things, and then watching documentaries. That documentary that was aired in 2019.
that was so good.
Was so
super powerful. It was called The River Blue.
River Blue. It was all about the dyeing industry.
Jeans in particular.
Jeans, and so
and the effluent coming off
Exactly.
turned the river waters blue.
So many things.
Yes.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
a lot of
so it was like just being observant and aware and open to the information coming at me and not shutting it out made me realize, as an artist, we do have this power to influence people and change their perspectives to do better and think about what they're consuming. And
but to keep it cool.
Yeah.
But to keep
Because
it cool.
there's
Totally.
a big thing about, if you're an environmentalist, if you like live a certain way, then you are this. You get put in a box of what you must be and what you must do. But like your brand is creating this like cool vibe that is good for, it's streetwear. It's not just like,
But it is
I don't want to. I mean, it's like hippie shit, but like in like a cool way, but not in like the traditional way that can sometimes put people in a box when you're thinking about being an environmentalist.
Yeah.
So I think
Totally.
it's awesome.
And it's the same
Thank
with
you.
you, Jess. I think that, we're not, we can all be environmentalists. It's like, how do we look? So as you say, that box, like, that like Barbie in a box, like, what she looks like is an environmentalist. She's wearing this granola
Exactly.
thing. And it's like,
Right.
we don't have to be granola about it. Not saying that that's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all.
Totally. That's a style.
It is, and I think it's
we have
beautiful.
to be proactive about those things, but we can be many things.
You can have your
Many,
own
many
individual
things.
look, your
Totally.
own style, your own vibe, your own
Yeah.
thing, and still be an environmental activist.
100%.
Totally.
And I think it's important to be an activist when you have the opportunity. And if that's your opportunity and you're living that way, you have to, it's very important to tell the world about it. And that's how I look at you, and I look at Jess too. Like, I'm like inspired by that, and then it helps us grow as people to have that conversation. Someone who was like, fast fashion, why not? It's not a big deal. And then you're like, oh, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And we can't be ostriches about it. And you guys don't. You allow everything to shine in a really bright way, for sure.
Well, I think that also like everything is fast now. like
Yeah.
in general. We're moving quickly. Things are happening fast. Things are instant. If you actually take a minute to slow down and like in every aspect of your life and figure out like, okay, how can I do this? But how can I do it in a more mindful, more environmentally conscious kind of way? And it's hard to do that when you're running all of the time. And I think a lot of us live in that headspace, and it's hard to slow down.
Yeah.
But I think, offering events like this, having local brands like this who are, going to be global, are global. I did trade one of your shirts for a
Yes.
painting.
I love that.
Art for art.
I love that. No, I love that.
So you do have a T-shirt in the Dominican floating around
that's
somewhere.
so cool. That's so cool.
Claire, I want to ask you about the symbolism and the messages in your work, because your logo is great. CU,
Yes.
which is kind of a visual thing embedded in kind of the third eye, and you use a
Yes.
lot of snakes and things like that. So,
Yeah.
what's the spiritual, mystical message you're trying to convey with your art on clothing?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been connected to eyes. That's the first thing I started drawing when I was young, and just worked on that. And I always felt like the eye for me was not the eyes that we see with, but the eye that's, higher in the crown of your head. Because that for me is where I feel my strongest sense is, because although I, get all my inspiration through these eyes walking around, it's actually what's up here that creates the work for me. So I always just feel like, our inner sense, our inner visionary is one of the most powerful things you can tap into. So that is the eye that you see on all the work. And the snakes, snakes represent rebirth and transition and movement. And I kind of liked creating these symbols that I felt people would gravitate towards, that they would need in their life. All my designs, I kind of say that I have like these flashes, which is a tattoo artist term. Tattoo artists make flashes of all their designs, and you go into a tattoo studio and you say, like, I want that, eye on my arm. I do the same thing with custom orders. People come over, they see all the designs. They're like, I want an eye here, I want the snake here, and I want like, this manifest thing here, because that's what I feel like I need. So I love playing with this idea that I'm this fashion, tattoo artist kind of.
That's awesome.
And that people, really gravitate towards what speaks to them.
And everything's unique and personal
Yeah.
and individual.
So at the same time has like a cohesive look, because it's your design. It's like really art on clothes, and the clothes on the canvas.
Wearable
and they're all
art.
upcycled. The clothes are all upcycled that
Everything,
you handpick.
Yeah, everything is made from secondhand, vintage, thrifted, donated. And I'm really starting to tap into like still using my designs throughout all the pieces that I do, but also really having fun with playing with all the pre-existing graphics that are already out there, and really tapping into this street art, kind of punky, grungy, mural, vibe on the clothing, and taking out bits of words out of old graphic tees and stuff like that, so that it's really pushing it into this one of one category. Not that it wasn't that before, but I love just the way that looks, and really tapping into that activist mindset vibe as well with the clothing, because as activists, I find that there's this whole, kind of rebellious aspect that you need to have going into work like that. You need to kind of push the envelope and make people think differently. So I really want the clothing to be like, what is that? I want people to like kind of
Make a
stop and be
statement,
like, what are you wearing? So
Jess, on one hand, what Claire is doing is upcycling. You are looking at Trashion, not just upcycled, but repurposing things that one wouldn't think would make into fashion. So Trashion has happened all over the world. So just give us a bit of an overview of what you've seen around the world and how people are using other materials to create fashion.
Well, I mean, I can speak specifically more so to like the events and what I've watched come down the runway, because that's, you know, fresh and in the forefront of my mind. We had an amazing design last year that's actually in the front window at Agora Gallery right now. And she used toilet paper tubes and cut them and created this like intricate patterned skirt and other details. There's a hat. It's really beautiful. You should go take a look at it. Cassie Parker. And different things. Blue newspaper bags. Joni did that in 2018. That was probably one of my most favorite looks like ever I think I've seen come down. It was so uniquely put together, the way that she like had melted the plastic instead of sewing anything. It was incredible. There is an image of that, of her on a swing, and it's stunning. It's on our Instagram page. You can scroll down and find it. What else has come across? There was a beautiful water bottle dress one year where all the water bottles were cut into this spiral, and it trailed down the back in this really gorgeous train, and the light hit it and reflected and created all these beautiful like rainbow type images in the plastic, which is funny and beautiful and awful and all of this, everything all at once. I mean, plastic water bottles have got to be like one of the like worst things we can do, and one of the easiest things that we can actually not do.
Yeah.
But they're everywhere. You see them all the time, laying on the road, in the water. And this designer created this incredible look out of something that is so awful and made it so beautiful. So it's art, it's community, it's all of the things. And if you have that mind, you can turn anything into whatever you want.
Yeah, it's the most
And Joni, you're
exciting.
doing something out of votive candles. You want to tell us about
Yes.
that? These are
So-
the kind of candles that you put in restaurants or little
and then like the metal
tea
things.
lights.
Tea lights. Sorry, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the tea lights, and then so I went to, because I needed a lot, because I wanted like thousands of them, and I wasn't able to obviously make that much garbage myself, so I went to Starlight, which is an amazing bar. We had Megan on here before, and so she collected them for me. So the bartenders begrudgingly, I think, collected them because it's like easy to throw out, and then there's a consciousness there because Claire works there as well part-time. So they collected since August of last year, and I'm cutting them and then washing them and then making them into two different things. So one's going to be a dress, and the dress base is made out of pantyhose, which would also be garbage. So like I try to
So you're sewing the pieces of metal onto the pantyhose.
kind of.
Okay.
So it's a
She's not going to give away all her secrets.
Okay.
Come on now.
You gotta come. Are you coming to Trashion Week? Are you
have
gonna
to come. You're going to come,
you coming?
obviously, so you have to see it.
I haven't been invited, but now I have. So.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, there's no invited?
Oh,
What is
yeah.
it? What did you say?
We
It's
got
like,
hookups
you know,
for
you're,
tickets.
we have some tickets. For
Yeah.
I'll have to wear what I'm wearing. 'cause
Yes,
I'll
you
have
will.
to be-
Yeah.
So it's really exciting. I think the Trashion part for me, as someone who is a designer, was a designer, is it kind of puts you in this like weird box. Like you have these materials. You don't have sheets of fabric, which make it really easy. Like you can go in the world and make anything you want. But now you have just these things. Like what is garbage? And I found that so liberating in a way, because I'm like I'm really pigeonholed to these things, and
And yet, so many things.
so many things.
Yeah.
Like I already have like 5 other thoughts.
Yeah,
like 5 other
exactly.
things that I want to do, but it is
But it's non-conventional.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you start to break down upcycling or upcycling clothing or full circle fashion or Trashion, it takes so much time. And this is where the line between fast fashion and full circle design or upcycling is that there is a time element that is, there's a human being making or deconstructing to reconstruct. And where we talk about how much things cost and how much time it takes is really the conversation we need to start to have. Why are we buying something? Is because we love it and we want it to last forever.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
And my time is worth money. And I think those are other things that we're not really discussing within fashion anymore.
Well, and also just like resources, like you said. So
Yeah.
if they're collecting these votives for you since August
100%
to
right.
create one
dress.
look,
Yeah.
and like often when you're buying your clothing in the store, you're not thinking about the actual raw materials that were needed to create this garment.
It's intense,
and
intensive
how
stuff.
what that chain is, that supply chain coming down. The manufacturer of a fast fashion brand is one side.
Yeah.
Then you have
One
that
side.
other piece.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like even cotton, natural fabrics, like thinking about the farmers and where they're being grown and how they're being grown, that's a whole nother side
We're
that
not even talking
huge-
about water.
you don't think water
Oh, yeah.
that you don't think about when you're like, they'll just need this though right now.
Yeah. I
Like
need
just
this right
like
now.
quick right now because it's breast cancer awareness month and I need a pink t-shirt.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just grab this pink t-shirt real quick
Yeah.
from one of those fast fashion brands because it's readily available to
And it's
me
right
and
there.
it's cheap and I don't care if it lasts because I'm never gonna wear it again. I just need it for this one day. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I end up going to the thrift store and
Exactly.
finding these shirts, cutting them up, and then screen printing all my designs onto. And I always think about this when I'm cutting up shirts, like especially shirts that I'm like, it has some weird saying on it that I'm like, literally someone bought this for someone as a joke. They're
Yes.
never gonna wear it again.
They
So-
maybe didn't even wear it.
They probably didn't
gave
even
it to
wear
them
it.
in a box.
Yeah.
And they went ha 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 and put it in
And
their
put it in the
drawer.
thrift store.
And then the next thing you know, it ended up
Yeah.
at
because
Goodwill.
because it's like they're like never been worn, and those are the shirts that I cut up and screen print all my designs on. And every time I cut up these shirts, I always think about the person who sewed that together because it's so well done. And
God, so
I just
well
think
done.
if people took the time to even cut up a shirt, maybe they would think about maybe, like I think about it every day.
Like not even cut up at seam rip. Like if you're gonna
Seam
take it
rip.
apart,
Yes.
and you're gonna take that thread, and you're gonna put that thread there, and you're gonna put that piece there.
Yeah.
And then you're like about 4 hours later. You
Yeah.
know, So I have to. I'm so grateful for these moments that happened in 2008 that you had this idea, which is like. That was a hell yeah. Like do that and do that project. It's gonna be scary, but you did it.
It was amazing.
And having artists show up is also like, I have to say, like all the designers that I've ever met at these shows are amazing. And it is scary because you're putting yourself out there as an artist and as a
an
designer.
artist.
And it's
Because some of these people like are kind of
Yeah.
like Claire. They're not in fashion. They weren't doing
Nope.
any sort of like fashion design.
No.
They're maybe artists or maybe just love the idea of being creative. We've all of everybody who comes in is at a very different part in their artistic abilities, career. We have a kid.
yeah,
who-
it's so fun.
Yeah. And I can't remember how old she is right now, and I may be incorrect on this, but I think she's like 10
Yeah.
or 11 who's designing a look. She's
No,
on
but that's
she's
like,
on
that's
Friday.
the start of her life.
That is the
Exactly.
start.
But she
know?
modeled for her mom.
Yeah,
That was
I saw
amazing.
that. Yeah,
Was
And
I
it
saw
the
that.
potato sack
She
one?
was in the
Or some-
burlap bag.
Burlap bag, yeah, so good.
And a lot of kids come to this event.
Yeah.
It's inspiring for them. It's eye-opening. It's like lovely for them to see. It's big and bright and beautiful and fun and interesting.
And then it's music and there's
Mm-hmm.
fashion, there's makeup, and there's all the whole thing that you want in fashion without it being like rigid fashion. You know, I've been in the fashion industry for a long time after university, and I was like, this is not where I want to be. And then I realized there is other places in the fashion world where you can be, and it can also be part of your ethos. It can be part of who you are
Who you
Oh,
are
yeah.
as a person.
Yes.
You know, it's not fast fashion. It can be couture. And that I think is where I'm hoping this goes, and then for people to see it and for you to visualize it, because this is new to you too, that this can be couture. You can start to
Totally.
move towards a different
So I want to ask
way.
about that. So
clothing.
the fashion that Claire makes, it's ready to wear. You put it on and you wear it around.
Ready to wear, yeah.
But you are making one of a kind things. You're not going to sell or walk around wearing a newspaper bags dress. So what's the next? Like, what is the
Listen,
the next
the-
step to that material?
the
that,
votive
or the
dress
toi-
that I'm going to
yeah.
make, someone can wear that.
That is also
know?
though fashion shows and fashion industry, like period. Like how many fashion shows happen all the time where it's like you see that coming down the runway, and like a thing like Joni's making, like that is Met Gala. Like that is
That
like
is what? Oh, Met Gala.
Met
Okay,
Gala.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that is something someone wears to like the Met Gala, like literally
A
everything.
custom-made outfit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you're not
Okay.
gonna wear like down the street, but it
Right.
is like
Art at that point.
so.
But it's been made sustainably.
Yeah.
But it's been made by something
It's
new. So,
so-
if, the people from the...
So it does have a life beyond the runway if
Oh,
it catches
if, like,
on.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Totally.
yes, these pieces
with the right
are
person in the right
insane.
place.
Yeah.
But that is the fashion industry. Is like some things are made just for iconic value for someone to wear on a runway or to an event and get their photo taken, and that's all that it exists
It's like
for.
art in an art gallery.
Yeah.
So what happens
Yeah.
to the designer whose piece gets worn at the Met Gala? What happens? Do they get? Does it help their careers, their designs, or?
It can for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, if they get on the best dress list, that it does help them.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know,
Like there is a whole just industry, I feel, of runway fashion. You know, there's different categories of
Right.
fashion. I am streetwear, ready to wear,
Yeah.
worn. You can wear this every day. But these other pieces that are going to be like high couture, high fashion, iconic, I feel like these celebrities do need to start moving towards
Yeah.
something where it's like they are making an entire outfit
And now-
made out of tea
Yeah.
lights, you know?
Yeah.
That's so
truly.
epic because it's the same way you would see someone wearing something on at the Met Gala that you're like, I know this was made just for this event. And it might just go into the museum after, you know?
And there's some like I have to say, like, as a designer and different from an artist, there is artwork there. Like Alexander McQueen, who is like my hero, one of my heroes, and I'd love to know who your favorite fashion designers are, but he changed my view on what fashion is that also at the show it can be an event. Like, he had a chess piece one time where all the models were on a chessboard and they like knocked each other off. It was like this crazy thing. Like, he's done crazy
Performance
things.
art, yeah.
Performance art
Yeah.
with fashion that was both couture and ready to wear, and those pieces are now museum quality. Like, they are in museums. You go to art galleries and you go and see those pieces. Like, that's where they end up going after Lady Gaga's wore them or Madonna. Like, icons wear these pieces and you now become an icon yourself. It is tricky though, because designers are making something that has to sell to somewhat of the masses. And that is where we have to start to have different conversations in what that is and how we use it.
I do feel like though there is a whole market though for moving into this, you know, creating things sustainably and for these icons to be wearing these pieces because like sometimes I do see these brand new made runway dresses or, you know, dresses for the Grammys and I'm like, you know, we could have done that so much better.
So much.
And
So you
I'm
have to get
more-
the word out, and so
Yeah.
that's one of the things about Trashion Week, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the exposure that
Yeah.
the designers, and then
This is possible.
this is possible. And
do you-
Stratford has this creative vibe to it, right?
They do, for sure. And I think it's important too, even for, let's say, those celebrities or people who need these unique things. If you really want to stand out,
Yeah.
like if you really want people to notice you out
Yeah.
there, wear a friggin' dress made out of votives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wear a dress made
Yeah.
out of water bottles. Wear
Yeah.
wear something that's made out of something that you're not actually contributing
Yeah.
to the waste of the world.
And it can be
Yeah.
made so it's just such an interesting, it's just so interesting. It changed my like perspective and I just am so grateful for that. And I think people have to come to the show.
People
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
come to the show.
Like,
If you haven't come,
you haven't
gotta
come, you gotta come.
And it's great because there's a lot of repeat designers.
Yeah.
And I think some of the audience that come, they're getting like fans. They're
Yes.
like,
Yes.
you know, they're
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing this person's look.
Oh,
We
yeah.
try hard to like feature everybody who's going to be presenting something in the show, so you can see when your favorite designer is going to be
Yeah.
showcasing their look. And make sure you're in the VIP front row seat.
Yeah.
VIP. No, it's so true.
And
It's
you have
so-
a 10, and this is your first showing, Claire.
Yeah, this is my first runway show, which is a great opportunity.
So how long did I hound you about it?
I think like you mentioned it since Fashion Art Toronto. I think that was
yeah.
the first, which is another event in Toronto that does a whole runway experience and market and everything.
Focuses more on art,
art
fashion.
and fashion.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's
Did you
not
show there,
conventional.
Claire? Were you there?
I was a part of their pop-up shop, so it was my first time also being there. And it's just funny because, because I really only care about eco fashion, I'm not inspired or interested in fast fashion. So my eyes only go towards things like that. And so there were some designers there that I was really impressed by and motivated me to be like, okay, like, I always kind of thought of my stuff as just, streetwear and ready to wear. But I do have inspirations to put my clothing and work on bigger stages because I do love seeing when like musicians wear these epic eco fashion upcycled outfits, and I see that there's a market for that. So it's like, why couldn't this, go down a runway and be seen as something a little bit more?
Totally could. That's how D Squared like really started. They took the street to and that's how the 90s really started. Like
Vivienne Westwood.
Vivienne Westwood is another prime example. She took punk and then brought it onto the runway. We are there. Like those are, that's where we're at. And I think a lot of people, especially going into times where we have less money maybe in our pocket, but still want to be very fashionable and fashion forward, right?
Less money in your pocket, but you're actually putting money around your neck.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God,
just
money
about
around my neck,
talk
yeah.
about you're not just doing fabric designs. Tell us about your jewelry line.
Well, I think
Yes.
accessories are my like love.
Yeah.
What was your handbag line?
My which?
Did you have a handbag?
Oh yeah, I did have a handbag line, and then
what was that called?
And watches.
Joan.
But do you
So
still
you've
go
been
by
Joaned.
Joan?
I still go by Joaned.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I love Joan.
Yeah.
But your handbag was empty and you needed money.
Yeah, my
So you
handbag was definitely
you
empty.
started begging.
For sure.
you
I
started
also had that school debt until not so long ago.
You started begging people like me for money. And
Yeah.
what do you want the money for?
Yeah,
And then
people love that, and I love anyone who wants to give me coins. I will be that person. Give me your coins, and this one's called Dime Shrines.
You're
so
a
it's
coin
all-
collector.
I'm a coin collector for sure. Oh my God, they're so beautiful.
Well, it's interesting about that
I love
because
it.
in a few years from now, coins will be
What's
obsolete.
money?
No, it'll be obsolete
Totally.
because everything has
Yeah.
gone electronic, and it's going to become part of our history. So, what's happening to old coins? Nobody carries coins around anymore.
No one carries. I mean, I still use cash. I'm trying to like cash is queen in my opinion. It circulates, and it's very important to keep that in our societies. But a lot of people are tap and. No, I love coins. I think they're just so magical and beautiful. And if you have them again, give them to me.
And every
somebody-
country, and every country in the world has their culture defined by the
so
coins that
beautiful.
they.
Well,
they
it's
have,
another
right?
thing too that's been like shopping in the thrift store. You're like, who has held this coin?
Yeah.
Where has this coin been?
Like, it's just
Somebody's
so
got to
fun.
upcycle those coins
Yeah.
because what are we going to do with those coins?
Well, I
which
upcycle
is what
all jewelry,
which
and
is
so
what
that's
you do.
also crazy
Whole other
industry.
market.
That's a whole other thing
Yeah.
when you're talking about because
Waste.
it's usually some cheap metal that has some plate on it, and now it's like. Now the plate has come off, and it's kind of like, where does that go and what does that become? Because it's not nice anymore.
and plastic.
Plastic is terrible,
Yeah.
but then it lasts forever. So then there's other things to talk about there, like.
But like the
anyways,
value
yeah.
of taking like you're taking a bunch of jewelry, all different kinds, old, new, vintage, whatever,
Yeah.
and finding ways to give them lasting life.
Lasting
know,
life.
especially these coins. Like these coins can't break, so
No.
it's
Can't
like
break. And so I make this.
Sew them onto a pair of jeans, and you can walk around jangling and jingling. Walk
Jangling,
around town.
Yes, please. You'd be like the cat. The cat's home.
I have a cat home. Little bells. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. So
I'm not a-
making
Tony's
collection for you.
I'm not a fashion designer, but here's an idea that I have.
okay.
You know,
I can't
Lay it
wait
down.
to
Okay,
hear
we're
this.
ready.
so I don't know why this happens, but everybody has the same problems. When you put your socks into the dryer, only half your socks come out. So I've got a bag at home of orphan socks.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to donate them. They're clean. They've been washed and laundered, but they're by themselves. Why not create something
good idea.
with orphan socks?
It's fabric.
Yeah, it's fabric.
And say, that's where rather
do
than throw
have-
them out.
I do have ideas for because I also have tons of scraps. Like, you know, after I'm cutting up these designs and cutting up shirts and like there's little strips and things, I'm looking at these scraps and I'm like, what can I do with these scraps? Because I also don't want to just then put these, like, we do have textile waste and recycling, which, hey, the Goodwill is working on that in London. They do. I saw their machine. It's awesome. But it doesn't mean everything can be recycled in textiles because of plastic. So I am looking at ways to do more than just clothing, but, you know,
I wasn't thinking about recycling them for socks. I was thinking of using the fabric for
using
a
the
sweater
fabric,
or something.
Cuffs or
stuffing it into something.
Stuffing it into pillows. Like, you know, there's
but
like
you know, those are great dusters.
Are they?
You ever use a sock to dust your house?
You put it in your hand and just
Get those baseboards.
That's a good idea. You spray don't spray. That's not environmentally friendly. You put whatever vinegar, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Vinegar and water, and you dust your house with that sock. That's what I do.
Yep, socks are good.
That's what I do.
The other thing, we're really proud of Canada right now. Or we should always be proud of Canada, but we're kind of standing up for our country right now. So maybe there's something you can get with plaid and maybe make some lumberjack type things. There's lots of
Canada's more than plaid.
Okay.
Hey,
Come on.
All right, what is
You
it?
know?
So if we were to do something fashionista for standing up for Canada, what would be the
ingredients?
ingredients?
That Canadian tuxedo
That's
is
all the
just
way.
What's that?
Canadian tuxedo, all the way.
That's how I see
Denim on denim.
denim.
That's
on
a Canadian tuxedo.
Yes.
Okay.
Denim on denim.
Yeah, it's the hottest thing. You will see it on the runway.
You will see it on the runway.
times.
Yep, and you will see some plaid. There is some plaid on the runway.
Yep.
You have a little plaid on today. Claire.
That's right.
A little
I
bit.
actually, and there's a heart.
Wasn't there a movie called Dead Man Don't Wear Plaid? Was that a movie out there? Or
See, these are the things, Craig, I don't know.
all right.
You
There was a
gotta
movie.
write these things down, you know?
Lots of ideas.
So many ideas. That's the best part. That is the best part about this whole different form of creating, at least for me. Like I said, I've been like doing painting my whole life, and then to now be in this other world where there's just everything. There's so much clothing. There's so many things. And
Everything's a medium now.
Everything's a medium, and everything, like the ideas are infinite, which I just find so exciting. So much more excited by it than painting right now, for sure.
I hope we're moving away from this, but everybody had T-shirts with logos on them. Maybe that's going to be a thing of the past, and maybe people will have T-shirts and clothing that have more of a statement on them.
Yeah, unique.
Yeah.
I think people need to
EPR,
be thinking about just their investments and their consumption, because the reason why people want their logo on a shirt is to get their brand
Advertising,
out there.
Yeah.
And that makes sense.
And you've worked with other brands that have like asked you to do their custom pieces.
Yes, and we've screen printed their logos on scrap fabric and sewed that right back onto a thrifted shirt. It's just about, businesses and brands and people. Again, we were talking about slow fashion and slow economy, kind of about investing their money in a way that helps everybody, not just benefiting them and then putting their money into a sweatshop in China that's just, crushing the humanitarian crisis and all that stuff over there and the world. We just need to start thinking about like investing in a way that's helping people and Canadian, bringing it back to Canadian artists and creators and factories. There's tons, and it's like we might as well invest
back. Like sewing is an art form that we've lost and we have given away. Now I have to say, China is like,
they're amazing.
They're like, I don't even know if we can catch up because of how well their industry works, how well their machines have worked. They've made that their mission to know that stuff, and it's amazing. And I'm not like that. It's made in China. It's probably good quality, I'm gonna say, but we need to figure out how to bring that back here. Your price point is going to be different, and that's just how that is. And we have to start to think differently, I think. And that's how I buy my stuff. And I want someone to go in my closet and be like, this chick's closet is awesome. Like, why did she buy all this stuff? And instead of like, she has all this plastic polymers, fast fashion that doesn't last, and it's just a trend and it's a flash in the pan. It's like these things were thought about, curated.
Yeah, the end of life of something made with that type of fabric is it doesn't ever really go away.
No.
Like when anything that has that stretch or that, that's all ends up being microplastics that live forever.
And you can't take that down. So like when you talk about these machines, and this is what I want Stratford to be, if we could be an innovator for making new fabrics. But the problem is most of the stuff that is in your closet that you would donate has a polymer in it.
For sure.
Has plastics in it. But I think there's a great, bright future out there.
Well, it's a great thing for Stratford. I mean, we're known for all sorts of arts, but fashion could be the next next thing
do
for
it.
Yeah.
Come out, check it out.
And for all the people listening, the millions of people listening to this podcast all over, we hope, we dream. Just give us a recap of when Stratford Trashion Week is and how they can get tickets and where it is, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So Stratford Trashion Week 2025, April 25th and 26th, coming up soon. Factory 163. Doors open at 6:30. And there is going to be 3 different showcases coming down the runway. You're going to see some vintage and pre-loved. You're going to see these unique couture designs that we're talking about with unique materials. And then you're going to see an eco-fashion brand who is making their living selling eco-fashion.
What up?
Claire Upcycled. And Bobby Raffin from Guelph will be the presenter on Saturday night. There's going to be a small market. There's going to be some food and drinks by Patso. And there's going to be some beautiful entertainment by Cirque Smith, Ariel.
She's back. That's awesome.
They came back. And that's the thing that I find so flattering, too, about this event is that people are like,
Yeah.
I'm going to come back.
Yes.
It's here. Oh, it's back. Okay, yeah, great. And that gives me hope for what it is and that people are into it and want to like incorporate it into their lives. So that's awesome. Tickets you can find online. Our website is stratfordtrashionweek.ca, really easy. We also have our Instagram page at Stratford Trashion Week, information and links to all the ticket sales and everything there. You can buy a weekend pass. You can buy general seating, VIP seating. There's lots of different options. There's a youth ticket price. Go on, check it out, buy your tickets. Because we do have tickets left, but they are selling quickly. So don't sit on it, Stratford.
Don't sit on it because it does sell out.
It does, and it has.
People have
most
been
years,
sad.
it sells out, and then you arrive and go, what do you mean? So don't aim to buy a ticket at the door because you will be disappointed. Yeah.
That's
And
great.
one more thing is that some people have been asking me, what do I wear? Is this an event to wear something fun or dress up?
Yes.
100%. This is like an
Like every
opportunity in Stratford to wear something in your closet that you have not worn for a long time. And it's like, get that on.
Dust it off.
We're doing like a dress to impress. Sustainable is best.
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
And what's more sustainable than what's already in your closet, yo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Vintage, thrift, upcycled. We love to see it.
There's going to be some red carpet moments. Get your picture taken. There's going to be a beautiful art installation by Taryn. She's doing this amazing paper. I mean, I don't want to give everything away, but like, just come and check it out.
Fun.
Amazing. Well, great to talk to all of you guys. Jessika Guy from Trashion Week, Claire Scott from Claire Upcycled, and
Joan
Chapel
That's it.
from everywhere.
From
everywhere.
From everywhere.
Thank
All right.
you.
Well, thanks you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The best. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.